I think that if you're working with plants in any degree, you're at least practicing herbalism.
So your neighborhood weed man is an herbalist.
For sure.
Okay. Are there anything other than Viagra that men can take or drink that can get them hard for their wife or partner at home?
For sure. In fact, I think a lot of those things do have herbs in them. Little things in gas stations are for that.
Yeah.
A lot of times it has green tea, ginseng. A big one that I really like is nettle root. Yeah.
When should I take meds and when should I take herbs?
So ideally you take herbs before you need meds.
Which is more expensive? Medicine?
That's a great question.
Or buying herbs? Hard and like excruciating periods. Are there any herbs that can help with that?
For sure. There's a lot of beauty and knowledge in this realm on TikTok at the moment and online everywhere, but there's just as many people who are not at all trained in herbalism jumping on these trends to make money.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Joshua Black of Comedy Country Podcast. Connor said he had a doctor's appointment today. I know that was a lie because that's like the go-to lie. Yeah, the go-to lie is the doctor's appointment. So I don't know if he's having penis enlargement surgery, breast reductions. I don't know.
Very sorry to miss the podcast. I had to go. The doctor said I have a appendage and it was so big it was throwing off my balance, but all fixed now. So I was at the doctor. I had to go.
We have a very special guest in the building today, an herbalist, an apothecist, and also a homesteader. Please make some noise for someone who is killing the game, not only in real life, but in the virtual life that we all stay in. 100,000 or more followers on TikTok. Cedar Hill Homestead's finest. Torri, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, actually, thank you for inviting me in today.
Yes.
Yeah, and also that mic will run away from you, so make sure
Okay.
you speak into it. It'll run off.
Being a little closer.
Yeah. That's it. Perfect. I'm going to aim it up. All right. Now, we are here. Tell me, what is herbalism? What is it exactly?
Okay, so herbalism is the study of plants.
Okay.
And it's really, you can take that as little or as large as you want to. I have a lot of friends that work with plants and study plants in their free time, but don't consider themselves an herbalist unless they're selling something or working one-on-one with people, but I don't agree with that. I think that if you're working with plants in any degree, you're at least practicing herbalism.
So your neighborhood weed man is an herbalist?
For sure.
Okay. Shout out to all the herbalists in the hood.
That's right. Cannabis is absolutely medicine. I mean, it's a medicinal plant. We literally use it to change the state of our body and to heal and to relieve stress and support our nervous system. So absolutely.
Is herbalism something you have to go to school for? What is that? I feel like I've only heard that in the last few years.
Yeah, it definitely got a lot more well-known around COVID.
Sure,
It was starting to, shine its light a little before that, but that's when it really became like a household term. People kind of knew at least a little bit about it. So you can, and that's kind of the difference in like a clinically trained herbalist or a certified herbalist, which certifications in herbalism in the U.S. don't really mean much, but it definitely changes things for people if you're working one-on-one with them and you let them know, like, I'm a clinically trained herbalist. There's some people who just study herbalism and they work with herbs with their family, friends, community, and that would be like a folk herbalist, a community herbalist, a family herbalist. I like to call myself both a community and folk herbalist, but I am clinically trained.
Okay. Are you against medicine?
Western medicine?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So it is possible to be able to. I love taking herbs and medicine at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When should I take meds and when should I take herbs?
So ideally, you take herbs before you need meds. But unfortunately, it's usually the opposite. When I am doing consultations with people, I hear a lot of, I've tried absolutely everything. You're my last resort, basically.
Damn, yeah.
And that's kind of, unfortunately, how things have gone, where people try Western medicine, they try who knows what, random things they hear from a guru on TikTok, and then they go to an herbalist last, and it's really unfortunate because you're exasperated. You've spent all this money.
You already full blown
and
AIDS now.
Now you're sick and you're worried about me not being legit because you just listened to some weird guru online that told you to drink chlorine. So
right.
A big thing right now is all the cleanses that you see online, and I've had multiple people be like, "Oh, I spent $400 on this parasite cleanse, and it didn't do anything for me." And then we have a cleanse on our shelf from Dr. Christopher, one of the like oldest, most reliable herbalist supplement companies, and it's $35. And after people have spent $400 on a cleanse, they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can drop $35 on this really reliable one that's backed by science. I don't know." So it sucks. Ideally, though, you would come to me first because herbalism really should be seen as preventative care. You're supporting the systems of your body first and foremost. And, you know, if you have an imbalance of some sort, like, I don't know, maybe you're getting a urinary tract infection often, or you've got eczema or scalp issues, who knows what. There is an imbalance somewhere, and ideally you can support that system of the body and support your body as a whole before taking a pharmaceutical, which isn't going to support anything. It's going to take something away.
Now tell me, which one is herbs safer to take or medicine safer to take?
That's a very good nuanced question. It really depends.
Okay.
It depends on so many factors. There's risks with both. That's another thing that's kind of hard about being an herbalist right now is, in the age of like a quick Google search, like people aren't putting much thought into anything. And they want you to tell them everything, which is good if they listen. But like, I had a comment on a video this morning. You know how I start most of my plant videos, herbs you should know, the name of the herb.
Yep.
So this person commented on this video and was like, first of all, the video was about bone set. It was the first word I said. And they commented on the video and they were like, "I thought Queen Anne's lace had a red center." And I was like, where and when did you hear or see anything about Queen Anne's lace in this video? And they said, "Oh, I screenshot it and put it into Google Lens and it said Queen Anne's lace." And I'm like,
but I told you what it was.
Prime example of why you should listen to someone who is trained in botany over a quick Google search.
Right.
So it's kind of scary because I can give you the knowledge and the tools, but I can't fix that.
That's true. Like, I can make a safe car, but I can't
drive
the car for you.
Exactly. So it's kind of hard. I'm not doing consultations at this moment because I've been busy opening the store, but when I am able to work one-on-one with people, it's a lot easier. We can look at their lab panels. We can see what progress we're making. I am giving them something to take rather than making suggestions. But online, a lot of people just want like a quick suggestion. So it's not super safe at the moment. There's a lot of beauty and knowledge in this realm on TikTok at the moment and online everywhere, but there's just as many people who are not at all trained in herbalism jumping on these trends to make money. So I mean, every other live video I see is just a person who is not at all trained in herbalism selling a cleanse or a detox or whatever. So
they just had some incense and some dreadlocks, and I was like,
who knows what they've got going on. So I think that if you find a reliable person, which there really are many of us, like we're not in a big city at the moment, and out here you've got an herbalist in just about every county for a couple hours from here, which is incredible. White House, Clarksville, Whites Creek. And so, you know, find an herbalist and consult with them, ask them questions. And then, yes, I do think that it's a little safer than a pharmaceutical cocktail, which a lot of people get.
All right, now tell me this. Which is more expensive? Medicine?
That's a great question.
Or buying herbs?
Again, pretty nuanced. I'm going to answer this question based on Cedar Hill Apothecary.
Sure. Which is the apothecary that you own?
Yes.
Yes, all right.
So again, I'll get people come in saying they spent $400 on something. We don't have anything in here that's over $100. I don't think we have anything in here over $50 that I'm aware of, except maybe like a fancy perfume.
Nice.
So most of our tinctures are 16, 18, 26, and that's really not much compared to not only pharmaceuticals, but the damage they can do. And, you know, in that same realm, people will come in saying, like, I'm taking this pharmaceutical, but its side effects are damaging my liver, my kidney. Do you have something I can take for that? I can definitely speak from experience on this as well, where I've been on the marketplace insurance for years. This year, all of a sudden, no one takes the insurance that I had with marketplace. So when I go to see a specialist or a doctor, I'm not only paying the full price of that, but I'm also paying the full price of any prescription. And prescriptions are insanely expensive.
Yeah, seriously.
Insanely expensive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of terrifying. That industry is just taking more and more money.
Yep.
I saw a YouTube video the other day with this young woman in court just absolutely obliterating these pharmaceutical companies, showing their 400 to 1,000% increase over the years, and asking, can you prove that this money is being spent on further research or anything at all besides your wallet?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. They're just doing
That's
it because
crazy.
they can.
Right.
So personally, I think that it's much cheaper to support your body healing and to turn to herbalism than to go through all that. You're not even getting a lot of questions answered with doctors.
What are some herbs that, or what are some common diseases or problems with the body that you think herbs could be a very quick fix for if people start taking the herbs now?
Cardiovascular. It's something that like people our age we're not seeing a ton of, but working in here and again working with one-on-one with people, it's massive. Diabetes and heart issues are huge. I get people in here at least once a day who either have one of those or love someone who does. And with cardiovascular stuff, it's pretty quick that you see results, and with minimal amounts of things. Like there are some issues that you kind of have to tackle, and so I might give you a couple tinctures and recommend a supplement or two. But people with high blood pressure, heart palpitations, really any sort of heart issues, I give them our Hartman tincture, which is a pretty simple formula.
Tell me what you got in there.
I was nervous you'd say that because I can't remember everything, but I'm pretty sure rose hips, hibiscus, ginger, cinnamon, motherwort, and there's a big one that I'm missing.
And then how often are they taking this?
If someone has active heart issues, then I'll have them do 2 droppers full a day.
Okay.
And you can do that at the same time. You can do it at morning and night. It doesn't really matter, whatever your routine is. But that's one of those where I'll have people slip that into their husband or their grandfather, whoever's drinks.
Yeah, yeah.
And they will see the next time they go to the doctor this massive improvement.
Really?
Yeah. And
in circulation, I assume.
Oh, yeah. And
so does that mean now that the men are now getting harder?
Probably.
Because, you know, I'm thinking that now. I'm like, hold on, now we're talking about circulation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's probably a great side effect, however you want to call that.
Yeah, good side effect. Not only is my cholesterol down and my heart pounding good, my penis is back.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I like
Hartman.
that. All right, now, yeah, let's give it up for hard men.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna name some diseases or some issues, and then you tell me some herbs that people can just check out.
Okay.
And see if they help.
Okay.
Let's start with the women. Hard and like excruciating periods. Are there any herbs that can help with that?
For sure. Most folks who have difficult periods maybe have PCOS or endometriosis or PMDD. Don't expect you to know what those are.
No, I know PTSD, STD.
Yep, those are good ones to know.
And NBA.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
You're good. So that will determine things slightly, but most folks can benefit from Vitex berry. This is a good one because it's not necessarily increasing estrogen or lowering estrogen. It's help bringing it into balance. So whether you have excess or a little less, you can take Vitex. Some herbs that help a lot with cramping: wild yam, cramp bark, black haw, burdock. I'm missing an important one. Black haw, cramp bark, devil's claw. That's a good one that I like.
Okay, and all
Mugwort.
and all these herbs they can find where? Where do you find these herbs?
Go to an apothecary.
Okay, so just Google apothecary in my neighborhood. Go
Yes.
there with that list, and they'll have it.
Start there because, like I said, we're getting to a point where there are lots of apothecaries. Now, if you do have a local apothecary run by an herbalist, you could also ask them.
Sure.
But yeah, most of my friends will hit me up for stuff like this, and they at least have an herb store near them or like a Sprouts
Right.
that has herbs.
So when they get there, do they ask for the tincture, for the pill, for the cramps specifically for the women in the periods?
So with most things, the answer to that is really going to be what's best for you. So if it'd be easier for you to take a quick tincture, grab a tincture. If you're a tea person, make a tea. I like tea a lot because you're drinking so much of it, you're really saturating your body. It's going through your urinary tract, entering your bloodstream. Now, tinctures are too. You're just getting a lot of it with tea.
Okay.
So whatever is easier for you to remember. Some people are tea people. Some people are like, I'm never going to make the tea. Give me the tincture. Even Sprouts has both. Like they have a small section of herbs and tinctures, but guarantee you would at least be able to find like raspberry leaf. That's what I forgot to say earlier.
Okay.
Vitex berry. You'd be able to find some of those for sure.
All right. Now, with birth control, I want your take on birth control here in America now, because I know you have strong feelings about birth control. Tell me, is herbs or modern medicine better for it? And what do you think the proper way to go about birth control is?
So the cool thing about birth control is that, and not birth control the pill, just controlling birth, is that it's pretty freaking easy to do alone or with a partner. And that's really where my strong feelings come into it. Is we ovulate for less than 7 days a month, and we can keep track of that.
Right.
And I think that by pushing birth control on anyone just anyone, is terrible, because we're basically saying you can't be trusted to take control of your body and, mark on a calendar these few days that you're fertile. And those are such few days. They're very obvious, even if you aren't marking it on a calendar. There are signs that your body gives you that shows you that it's very fertile.
Yeah, I can feel it. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, she's fertile. 3 a.m.
Most partners can.
Yeah, I can feel it.
You have a different energy about you.
No cap, yeah.
A lot of people are more turned on when they're ovulating and fertile. I mean, it's just like
And ovulation sex hit different.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
different.
that's kind of the other thing, not to get super inappropriate, but like, there's a lot more fluids going on down there.
Let's go.
Your whole body is responding to it. So it's pretty obvious.
Well, how often are women taking birth control if a woman's on birth control?
Every single day.
God.
Every single day. And you're not only taking it every single day, it's affecting your entire body every single day of your life.
What are some of the effects of
For
birth
this little
control?
window.
As a man I've never taken it.
So
Masturbation is
many
the closest I've came.
to birth control.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I mean, you have to think about the fact that like our hormones really control so much of who we are, how we act, how we respond to things.
Yep.
So to have something entering your body and changing the makeup and controlling how much of your hormones are active it's affecting every single thing about you.
Right.
And for that reason, too, people get trapped in it where they're scared, they're terrified to come off, because we've been told that birth control is helping with mood swings, helping with depression, helping with pain. When you come off of birth control, you realize what a lie that is. And that, I don't want to get too conspiracy-like on here, but
Get in there.
it is like control. It's literally controlling a population of people. It's almost like how antidepressants kind of numb you out.
Sure.
It's very similar to that. So
Right.
a lot of people get off of birth control and they're like, oh my God, I
back.
remember who I am. I
Yeah.
haven't felt
Oh,
this
wow.
way since I was 14.
Yeah.
and you're way less moody.
Right.
And you're way less depressed, and
Huh.
you feel more happy and more joy. Sure, you might go through a couple weeks of, your body finding its balance again and things feeling kind of out of whack. Your first period is probably going to be really heavy, but it's a good thing.
Now tell me this: what about women that are trying to become pregnant?
Fertility?
Yeah, fertility. What are some herbs that can help with women and their fertility?
So there's definitely herbs that can help, but when it comes to fertility, I usually talk with people about diet.
Okay.
And really, if you are planning with a partner, it's good for you to both be on board.
No, for sure.
You're literally creating something. So thinking of like cooking a recipe in your kitchen, you only want to put like the best ingredients.
Yeah, you need
the
organic
best
sperm.
spices. Yeah,
You don't want that stepped
exactly.
on. No, hell no.
So you really want to think about the foods that you're eating. Make sure they're full of nutrients.
What kind of foods we talking? We talking fruits, veggies, meats?
The first thing that came to mind is okra. That's a good one.
Okay.
Greens for sure. Any sort of like collard greens. If you eat wild food like lamb's quarters, all these greens that are going to have just like a complex profile of vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
You think of like a prenatal vitamin, which you're taking because growing a baby is taking a lot of your vitamins and minerals. That's why our nails get brittle, our hair gets kind of weird. So you just want to make sure that you're loaded up on vitamins and minerals. Taking a mineral is something I recommend to pretty much anyone, like a liquid mineral, especially if you're drinking filtered water, you're filtering the minerals out of your water. We have a tea blend that's really good for expecting or while you are pregnant or postpartum.
Okay.
And some of my favorite herbs for that are alfalfa, nettle, horsetail, raspberry leaf. I'm forgetting another big one. Oh, milky oats is amazing.
Okay. Are there anything dietary? Let's see. I should word this. Are there any foods or drinks that women should stay away from when trying to become pregnant?
For sure, and even more than that, chemicals in like household cleaners and plastics and perfumes. There is a frightening documentary on Hulu, very short. It's like a couple episodes that talks about how low sperm count is right now due to, it's the lowest it's ever been.
Really?
It's incredibly
Why
low.
though? The food?
Cleaners. Perfumes, laundry detergent, all that stuff. It all, there's one ingredient in particular that I'm spacing the name of, but there's, many that are so terrible for you to come in contact with. And we're coming in contact with them every day, no mask, no gloves, just like absorbing all of
scary.
it. It's terrible. Even like polyester in our clothes lowers your sperm count.
Really?
Yes. So, it sounds really crunchy and
People got polyester drawers on probably.
Absolutely.
Oh.
That is something that my husband started noticing when he started learning about this. Is he was like, all women's underwear and a lot of men's too
Or polyester.
is polyester.
Yeah, it does feel good, on the genital area, but you got to probably get something else, or
really
go free.
Cotton. Yep.
Go free unless you have on jeans.
Oof.
Jeans gets a little rough with the free ball.
That is very rough for us too.
Yeah. Oh, now tell me this. All right, we talked about the women. Oh, one more thing with women as far as herbs. Is there a more herbalistic way of wearing perfume and makeup?
Oh, for sure.
Talk to me.
That is a very easy one that I just don't understand. Like, when are we gonna crack into that? Like,
Okay.
I see all these influencers and all these people online who are health conscious. Maybe they're fitness people or nutritionists or herbalists, and they're talking about all these amazing health things, but yet they're also like promoting plastic Shein clothing, horrible mineral makeup, and like just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And you're putting it on such a sensitive area, like your eyes.
Sure.
And perfume too, especially. The phthalates in there, and there's so many bad things in there. So yeah, that's an easy switch.
Do you go to apothecary for that too, or is that just?
You can come to mine for that.
Okay.
I do think a lot of them have at least a couple things in that realm. That is something that's important to us. We also love making perfume.
But what would be the difference in your perfume and perfume at Dillard's?
So commercially made perfume the big focus for them is lasting and being incredibly strong.
Oh.
And in order for you to have those two things, you have to add synthetic additives that are not good. I can't think of the names of them right now, but this is also something covered in that docuseries, where you have to use a ton of that stuff for it to last on your clothes and to push that smell out. Like when someone walks into a room and you can smell their perfume. I have a mom friend with a young baby who is made a post recently about how she'll get her baby back from a friend or a stranger that's holding it.
Yeah.
And she can smell their perfume and
like
their
old
laundry
men
detergent.
at the YMCA
yes,
like that.
And she's like, oh my God, my baby, like I gotta wash it.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
it's just.
It smells like Brute and
So
cologne.
so many people are just covered, saturated in these chemicals. And I don't think that stuff smells good. I don't like it.
With yours, though, because it doesn't have that stuff, do you have to apply the more makeup? Does it last as long? What's the...
Makeup, no. There's some pretty amazing natural makeup out there. You really don't have to apply more necessarily. Will it come off a lot more easy? Yeah, for sure, which I think is a good thing. I've
it's
never
not killing you.
liked having to scrub my eyes to get mascara and eyeliner off. That's like terrible for your face.
Oh, I know nothing about
So
it.
I think that's a benefit, but yeah, if I was like going out partying at night, like I don't know if maybe natural makeup wouldn't be great then.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, now tell me this: a lot of men now are hitting their 30s, and that old peen, it ain't getting as rock solid as it used to. They still getting the job done, but maybe sometimes it's a little flabby.
Yeah.
A lot of podcasts are promoting, not podcasts, a lot of people in general, a lot of companies are promoting these new Viagra pills. And I'll bleep that out just in case there's deals on the table. But are there anything other than Viagra that men can take or drink that can get them hard for their wife or partner at home?
For sure. In fact, I think a lot of those things do have herbs in them. Like if you look at those little things in gas stations are for that, a lot of times it has like green tea, ginseng, certain things like that.
See, we might as well get straight to the root.
Yeah.
Let's just go and get the ginseng and the...
Yeah.
Okay.
A big one that I really like is nettle root. Pine pollen is a big one. I don't know much about this, but I do see a lot of people talk about, what is it called? Velvet something. It's like deer antler velvet.
Oh, okay.
And that's been a big one in Chinese medicine for a long time.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's something to it.
Now, what about men trying to get their girl pregnant? What if they have a low sperm count? Maybe it's the men's problem that they're not getting pregnant. Is there anything he can take, or is it applied to the same stuff?
I would definitely apply the same stuff as far as like first step is switching out all of your like laundry detergent, cleaners, and all that for households or for natural stuff, which I do want to say because I know a lot of people hear stuff like this and they're like, well, I can't afford that. We make almost all of ours and it's very easy to make. The thing that we use the most in our household is citrus enzymes. We literally take our leftover citrus peels, keep them in the freezer, and then like once or twice a year we make this massive batch where you're really just fermenting the citrus peels with sugar. And you use enzymes in your washing machine, in your garden, in your air conditioning compressor, in your sinks and drains. You use it for so many things.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be expensive.
Okay. Now, what about people suffering from like IBS and gut problems? You got any herbs that can help with gut health? Yeah,
gut health is a big one where I think like at this point, most people go to their doctors for gut health and the doctors are like, I can't help you. Like, there's a few things that are crazy to me that medical professionals are like, yeah, there's just no cure for that. Eczema, psoriasis, gut health issues, IBS in particular. There's one more, IBS, and it's another big colon gut thing. Leaky gut.
Leaky gut, bubble guts.
That's
gut.
Common. I think it's leaky gut. Leaky gut and IBS.
Leaky gut's a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's sometimes called permeable gut, and like really truly what that means is like this is a hard thing to compress into a short amount of time. But
go ahead.
Essentially, you don't have a proper ratio of good bacteria and enzymes in the gut, sugars are essentially rotting, and they're literally puncturing the lining of your gut and colon.
Then leaking out into the body.
And that's really painful for
Yeah.
people. That's definitely one of the biggest things that I hear all the time is I'm doubled over in pain in the middle of the day. I don't know why. My doctor can't help me. Do you have anything? And that's another one of those things like the cardiovascular system where people can notice results with that really freaking quickly. I had a nurse in here recently who the first thing that turned her to herbs was she was dealing with IBS. Nothing was helping. A friend of a friend of a friend said, try cold infusion of marshmallow root. She drank it every day. She said within 2 weeks, her pain was completely gone. And within just a couple months.
No, take your time. That's what they say in church. Take your time, Pastor.
Take your time. Within just a couple months, it was completely gone.
Damn.
And she is, I don't know exactly how old she is, but a little too old to change career paths.
Sure.
She was like, this like really woke me up to so many things, but I'm so close to retirement, I can't switch my career path, but I feel terrible like working in Western medicine when I'm doing herbalism at home.
Right.
But cold infusion of marshmallow root, if you want to really get to the root of the problem, is incredible. We do make things that are just going to help you like pretty instantly with stomach issues and help heal things as well. Marshmallow leaf, shiso, monarda, mountain mint, anise hyssop, marshmallow, slippery elm.
Who names
so
these?
Many good things.
Who comes up with these names?
That's a really fun question.
Because I'm trying to, like, some of these are too cool. Mountain Man, slippery geese, and all this type of shit.
I agree.
Does the herbalist, does the Native American or like the black person from back in the day, do they just find it and say, we're going to call this?
Pretty much.
Okay.
So when I do plant videos, I don't use the Latin name. I don't use the scientific name. And there's a couple reasons for that. So
Okay.
it irks some people because they were trained that you
get
always
confused.
use that.
Sure.
But I'm usually talking about things that grow naturally outside. And a lot of times invasive plants because we want to work with plants that are just taking over. So it's really not cool for me to use the Latin name of an invasive plant and have people order that plant online to grow in their yard. Like that wouldn't be
right.
responsible from an ecological standpoint.
Sure.
Not to mention the whole reason that I'm teaching you about plants that grow outside is because they grow outside.
Yeah.
So instead of ordering what grows outside at my house, look up what variety of this plant grows outside of your house, especially on TikTok where my reach is like, all
global.
over the globe.
Yeah.
So I always try to use the common names because, for example, that video I mentioned earlier about bone set, there's a ton of different eupatorium bone sets and people can see which one is growing near them. So I try to encourage people, look up what goldenrod is near you, look up what type of, mint family plants are near you so that they can see what it looks like in their area. But the other reason that I love using common names is because I feel that it's a really nice way to honor the people who learned these plants. And typically in the US, that is indigenous people who were learning these plants for the first time and typically named them what they do for them. So like,
that's a smart, I like that.
Slippery elm, for example, is a tree that grows commonly here. When you peel the bark, it's like slick on the inside. It's mucilaginous. That's what makes it so good for the stomach and gut. So it's a type of elm tree that's slippery.
I like that.
Mountain mint is a type of mint that grows at high elevation.
Simple. See, Advil, I don't know what the hell that means. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We should have called that headache problem.
Exactly.
Fixer.
And it's helpful for people too, right?
Yeah, of course.
It gives you a little sign of what it might do for you.
I like that. And speaking of that, remind me to try to go on, talk about hiking for a second. But before that, the last thing that's pretty popular, especially with millennials, I think it has something to do with social media, if you ask me. But mental health is a huge problem now. And I remember last time we spoke, it was like you broke it down to like 3 different types of mental health. Like there's some people who suffer with just type A anxiety, who are just kind of cranky in traffic, which would be me.
Yeah.
Some people who kind of have a dull sense of just anxiety and they worry and they're late all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's one person with just depression.
Yeah.
Was that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then tell me what herb is good for each category.
Okay, so the first one that you mentioned, you're really going to picture like tightly wound people where one little thing is going to set them off or ruin their day, or they like, enter a state of panic really quickly.
Yeah.
That is a very specific, and although some other types of herbs will help, there's certain ones that'll work really well for that type of person. Blue vervain is one that most herbalists will go to pretty quickly for that type of person. Just kind of type A is how it's described. Blue vervain works really well for that. Lemon balm is kind of a classic that's going to work for stress and anxiety across the board. But I feel that lemon balm helps like kind of quiet thoughts. And so that can help with like looped thinking that kind of spins people out. There's a really nice plant that grows in the summer, mimosa, and mimosa is really good for entering panic and almost like PTSD, where your brain is kind of hardwired to feel triggered by certain things that happen throughout the day. Mimosa is really specifically good for that, which is nice because there's not a lot that's very specifically good for that. Passion flower is another one that's going to be good across the board, but is very good for that type of person too, because it's going to relieve tension, it's mildly sedating, and typically when we enter panic or we're tightly wound, our body is feeling that too. Yeah. So you want something that's a little sedative that's going to help just like
Yeah, that is
chill
good.
that
If
person
I had
out.
like a stressful day, 2 days later, my back is pulled.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my muscles just been so damn tight.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many things that come with that. Like the way we sleep, a lot of people that hold tension sleep really strangely. Hello. Okay, so then the next one, which is kind of the opposite, like unorganized, late, feeling stressed out by confusion a lot, etc. That's like, I like to give that person kind of a mix of nervine herbs, which is a lot of the herbs that we just covered, things that are gonna help mildly sedate, relax the nervous system, also support your stress response, the amount of stress that your body can handle. I am someone that's prone to getting sick. Like my immune system will crash if I stay in this state of burnout all the time. And so if you're that kind of person, it's really important that you're not only working to quiet the mind and relax the body, but to like stay, what's the word? Like work with nutritive herbs that are going to keep you well so that you don't just crash.
Right.
Burnout is a really important one where we're working on our cortisol levels, our adrenal system. Like that's one where you really kind of have to address more than just, I gave you that tincture Comfort.
Yes, love that.
So Comfort is more of like a quick chill pill. And then we have a tincture called Habituate that's got tropho restorative herbs. Milky oats is one of those. That's going to be restorative. I mean, simply put, help mend frayed nerves, nourish the nervous system. So if you're in burnout, don't just reach for the quick fix. You gotta work on that too.
Okay.
Now, depression is a tricky one. There's more so things you want to avoid if you're someone prone to depression. For example, the herb I mentioned earlier, mimosa, that can help with panic. If people are super depressed and prone to kind of manic depression, mimosa can actually heighten that and make it a lot worse. So you really want to stick to the like mellow stuff. Mimosa for the average person is like very uplifting and kind of bubbly.
Right.
If you are on medication, it's important that you also look into contraindications for herbs, especially if you're on any SSRIs or depression stuff in general. St. John's wort can be helpful for some people. In the 80s and 90s, when it was gaining popularity, I don't think that people realized you had to use it fresh. There's a really important part of the plant called hypericin, which you only get when it's fresh. It's like you pinch the flower and it's got this beautiful blood red inside of it. When you dry it, that's non-existent. And in the 90s, our parents were giving us like the dried capsules and it wasn't doing anything. St. John's wort kind of got a bad rep for helping with depression. I do think it's really helpful for some people when it works for them. And then there's just kind of some classic herbs that can help day to day as well. A lot of those like more sedative nervine herbs that are going to kind of chill you out. But I do like to mix that with some things that are going to actually help with brain chemistry. We make a tincture called Brain Fog that's got a little bit of adaptogen herbs, but more so things like lion's mane, gotu kola, ginkgo, things that are going to just like support cognitive function. And I think that's an important one with depression.
Okay, perfect. Now tell me this: is there other than coffee, is there anything that people can take that can be a replacement for Adderall or something that just gets you locked in? I got to study, I got a project, I got a lot to do at work, and I don't want to just take this Adderall. Is there any herbs that could help with that or not really? Or am I ungrateful that we already have coffee and tea with caffeine in it?
Yeah, those are pretty magical.
Yeah,
plants.
exactly.
This is one that I'm sure you've seen the videos. Like, there's a lot of people who are not herbalists who are saying nature's Adderall, this can replace your Adderall, and that's really not true. Adderall is super stimulating.
Right.
And coffee is a stimulant, and things with caffeine are a stimulant, but there's not a lot of herbs that are just stimulating in that way. There's absolutely things that are going to support those ADHD symptoms long term and support like your ability to focus. There's a tincture that we give my son before school a lot of times to help with that. And really what I focus on more with him is like, he's like very fidgety. It's hard for him to sit still. So again, we kind of have that mix of those more like sedative, like chill you out herbs so that he can just like sit still for a little bit.
Right.
Mixed with herbs that are just going to support brain function. Lion's mane is so important, and we hear it so much that I think that like we're all like, yeah, medicinal mushrooms are great, cool. But if you actually take a second to read the studies on how lion's mane works in your brain, it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So always, I think anyone who's experiencing ADHD should take lion's mane for sure.
Okay, now what about people who can't sleep? What are the herbs for people who can't sleep? A lot of people dealing with that.
A lot of people, yeah. That's another one you went home with. Our Rest in Peace tincture, that's our best-selling tincture forever.
Oh, yeah. My fiance loves that.
People try it. They come back for it. They tell their family about it. It's a big one.
You remember what you got in that?
Yes. That's my favorite herb that's in that I think helps the most is skullcap.
Okay.
Skullcap is one of my absolute favorite herbs. It's really good. It's very similar in action to passion flower in that it does have the ability to support the nervous system. It is also a little more sedative than most sedative herbs. It's a little, both of those herbs actually are mildly pain relieving as well because of those sedative properties. So could have mentioned that earlier with menstrual cramps or like you having back issues sometimes. A lot of the herbs in Rest in Peace are gonna be good for mild pain as well. So skullcap is one of my favorite. Passion flower is in there. Reishi mushroom, really good for sleep, really good for long-term supporting people who have issues with sleeping, helping you stay asleep. There's lemon balm in that one as well, and probably a couple other things I'm forgetting.
Okay. Now I want to go into the direction of maybe self-herbalism or like, so, and it reminded me again to go on the hike because I want to talk about that because me and my fiance are always on hikes and I'm always, fuck it, let's just do it now.
Okay.
We're on hikes all the time. We're always wondering. I think of you every time we're out there. I'm like, damn, I should have invited Torri.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know which plants are good for the dog, bad for the dog, what's poison ivy, what's poison suki, or I've heard some kind of new poison plant we got in Tennessee now.
Yeah.
How do I know what to watch for? What can I eat? Or should I just stay away from all of it?
That's a good question. Don't stay away from all of it, but
Do some of them not have like physical traits that I could?
Some of them do,
Okay.
But it's not going to be a rule of thumb all the time. Like, there's plenty of good herbs that are mistaken for poison ivy all the time, for example. I will say if you are out and about hiking around here, there's really not much that's going to make you or your dog sick.
Okay.
The biggest thing to look out for, especially if you're hiking near water, is hemlock.
What's hemlock?
So poison hemlock does have a lot of good lookalikes, and in that case I would just say like maybe don't look for the herbs that look like that until you've seen what hemlock looks like.
Oh, so we got to
Once you
Google
see
hemlock. We're
what
going to put hemlock up on the screen.
Yeah, once you see what it looks like in person, especially, it's pretty easy to tell the difference. But a lot of, for example, that what I mentioned earlier, that person thinking my bone set plant was Queen Anne's lace. To me, those look absolutely nothing alike.
Yeah,
They're
but you got
both
a
just
keen eye.
whitish flowers
Sure.
with an umbel. Hemlock is a whitish flower with an umbel. So maybe just avoid all those until you've gone on a plant walk with me and you see what it looks like. There are field guides, which is definitely the first thing to do if you're someone that's out walking and you want to learn what plants are. You can get really simple ones for your area. Definitely make sure it's for your area, like Southeastern Foraging or Field Guide. The Peterson Field Guide is super classic, but my favorite is a brand new one from one of my favorite foragers, Samuel Thayer. Okay. And it is a big field guide, but the way it's organized is so that people like you can easily find a plant. Nice. So it's like, I think he has it pretty much where it's like, it's green, it's leafy, the leaf is shaped this way.
Right.
Like you can get there pretty
that's
quickly.
Dope. Yeah.
Of course, there's those apps now too, which, like I mentioned earlier, that Google image did that guy wrong, but it's a good place to start. I wouldn't let it be the end-all, be-all before you take a bite of something.
Yeah.
But it's a good place to start. Another thing that is important is, like, you can touch a plant and really taste a plant. You're not going to get sick unless you ingest it. So
what do you mean? What's the difference? Oh, you mean
spit
taste it and spit it out?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha,
I think the last time we talked, I had someone come in and ask me about shiso, and they thought that they found some, but they weren't sure. Or maybe it was a mint plant. And my first question was, did you smell it? No. Well, that would have been a really easy way to tell.
Sure. Yeah.
Mountain mint is super common, Monarda, shiso. Those are all mint family plants that grow wild, where if you just picked one of those leaves, you would smell it instantly.
Okay.
So that, like, experience plants, that's really the best way. Don't be afraid to, like, take a leaf home or take a photo and flip through your book.
Now, are there everyday plants where we're here in Tennessee, wherever you're at? Is there, let's say, if I'm just at home, is there a way to get more herbalistic, if that's the way? Can I go outside and look at my grass and what are some practices that I could do if I wanted to start getting one with herbs?
I think that's the best thing you can do is go outside. Like, if you have even, like, the tiniest bit of land near you, even, like, the cracks in our parking lot out front, there's a native amaranth growing. Like, everything that's growing outside is a plant, other than Johnson grass. But, you can start with any of those. Take a picture, go inside, hopefully you have a field guide now, and look for it. That's the best thing to do, because you'll think it's something, and then when you read about what it is, you're like, oh yeah, like it kind of looks like that because the leaves, but now I see that it's got this shape. And truly, it's so intimidating before you start. But once you've identified like 4 plants in your yard, it starts to feel a lot easier and more like common sense. You get a different perspective. Like all these plants that have white flowers suddenly don't all look the same because you're learning what to look for. So just identify like 4 plants outside.
Okay, now tell me this. Is there money in herbalism? Like, would you suggest that someone go into herbalism as a career?
It depends what kind. Like, we are super passionate about people, and I'm not in a super busy town here, and I like to keep things affordable and accessible because I care about people first and foremost. And I care about plants first and foremost, and I don't want to overuse them or treat them as like something that I can get rich off of. Now, there are people who will jump onto a trend like medicinal mushroom coffee, the natural Viagra, what is something else that we talked about? Oh, nature's Adderall, parasite cleanses, like all these things that are popping up on TikTok. I see it in here. People will come in and ask for it because it's buzzing online. there are companies who literally are created overnight to take advantage of those trends, and I do think that those companies are probably successful.
Right.
But if you are coming into herbalism as someone who loves plants, loves people, it's kind of hard to make a lot of money.
Okay. All right. Well, that's real. Well, tell me this now. This is a layered question, but a lot of diabetics, they need their Ozempics.
Yeah.
A lot of non-diabetics also need that Ozempics because they getting their slim and their sexy body on.
That's
One,
right.
I need your. Do you think that's healthy or okay to do long term? And then also, is there an appetite suppressant that one could use herbal wise?
Yeah, I kind of forgot about how big that was right now. There's definitely a huge supplement that people are recommending as an alternative. It's berberine.
Close
Berberine,
to Burberry.
yes. Berberine is in a lot of different plants, and so you can extract just the berberine.
Okay.
And that is doing some similar stuff. And I think that's great because berberine helps a lot with the way your body responds to sugar and digests sugar, and anyone can benefit from that. The Ozempic stuff, I don't think it's bad. I actually think it's kind of cool that as a society we're learning more about insulin and how it affects the body and how to like kind of mess with it a little bit. So much of our foods are fucking with our insulin and like spiking our sugar and dropping our sugar. And so like getting a little bit of control over that is not a bad thing. I think that more so than finding like a thing you can take, you can learn so much about it so quickly, and even just change like the time of day you eat or how often you eat, how much you eat. For example, a huge thing that most people can benefit from is trying to eat at the same time every day and trying to sit when you eat, which is really hard sometimes. Like we're in the car, we're working, we're on the phone,
No, I
we're
can't do
editing
that.
a podcast.
I gotta sit down.
That's
now,
great.
Yeah, it's almost like a ritual. It's almost religious.
That's so important.
I have to have a TV on or a phone or something.
That's very good because I have not been very good at that lately, just with everything going on with the store.
Hungry?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you do that, your body is in a constant state of fight or flight, and it's wondering when its next meal is. So it's storing that fat because it doesn't know if it's going to need it later.
Right.
So that one little thing can help so much, especially if you're someone that's like, I don't know why I'm not dropping the weight. Like I'm doing the dieting and exercise. Like that's huge. Sunlight, there is so much research on sunlight and metabolism and insulin. So just like spending some time in the sunlight every day is huge.
No, for sure.
Go on a little walk, even if it's 5 minutes. Like get that blood circulating and moving. Try to eat at the same time. Try to get a full amount of sleep. Like these are things we're told our whole life that feel redundant, but they are the most important and cheapest and most easily accessible things that we can do.
Now tell me this: what are some herbs? And this will probably be our final one. What are some herbs that everyone should keep on them, or at least have in the car? Well, let's do this. What are some herbs that you should keep on you at all times, and then what are some herbs that you definitely need in your house?
I'm gonna go kind of backwards because I think what you have in your house could kind of go for both.
There you go.
I think that everyone could benefit from a yarrow tincture. Yarrow is definitely like a good first aid herb. It's good for oral health. It's good to help stop bleeding, to clean a wound. So if you have a tincture of yarrow, you can swish it around in your mouth. You can dab it on a wound. You can take the tincture. So that's kind of just an easy first aid one. Calendula, chamomile, plantain, any of those three, those are really good at like your gut health, stomach aches, wound healing, eczema, like all kinds of topical stuff, very universal herbs.
Okay.
A simple one that maybe not everybody needs, but I just, again, get so many people coming in here about like aches and pains. A turmeric and black pepper supplement is huge and can go a really long way with inflammation, pain relief, etc. Like I just don't think anyone would not benefit from it. I really love mint family plants, so like mountain mint, shiso, anise hyssop, like all of those are going to be really good for stomach issues. I like to give options because, again, I want you to use what's growing near you.
Sure.
But I could keep it really simple and just say like yarrow, calendula, peppermint. Let's see. Elderflower would be a really good one. That one's also good topically, really good internally for immune support. Holy
This one says
basil.
psilocybin.
Oh, does it?
No, it doesn't say that. No, that doesn't say that at all.
Holy basil is a good one. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. It's good for your adrenals and your hormones.
Okay.
Nettle, super nutritive superstar.
Tell me this. This is a wild. This is not too wild of a term, but how does the peppermint, the plant, get into the candy, or is it not in the candy at all? Have they just lied the whole time?
How does it get into the candy?
Like, because it tastes like mint, right?
Yeah.
But that's just all. That's not. There's no plant in the peppermint candy.
No. It's an extract, or it should be if it's a good one. Like,
a good peppermint. They've taken the mint out of the plant and put it in the candy.
So think about like when you go to a bar and you drink a cocktail.
Yep.
A lot of times they're flavoring the cocktail with a simple syrup, which essentially means they're making a tea with the plant.
Yeah.
They're straining the plant and mixing in sugar.
Oh.
So a peppermint extract, you're
Same
really
thing.
just making a tea, a strong tea concentrate to get that really strong peppermint flavor. A lot of herbalists use pastilles, marshmallows, little candy type things especially to give herbs to kids.
Oh,
so
yeah.
a peppermint candy is medicinal if it's made with real
Can
peppermint.
I just
extract.
if I find a peppermint or grow one, can I take that and just chew it?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think that
Does it give off a minty flavor?
Yes.
Really?
There's a lot of benefits to just like nibbling on something.
I think that's gonna be my
when
new
you're
thing.
walking. Oh
that's
yeah.
some cool shit right
we
there.
have a mountain mint is one of my favorite plants, and it grows everywhere out here. And this time of year, it's really easy to identify because it's got this beautiful ashy sheen to it.
Oh yeah.
And anytime I see that plant, it's also right next to our front door. I'll grab a little leaf and take a nibble of that. Hey, Robin, will you just hang it up? I think that when you do that, like another one is pine needles. Like you probably see those when you're hiking a lot, or
Sure.
cedar. I truly think that if you just take a fresh plant and you bite into it, our taste buds control so much of what happens in our body and our digestive system. I think last time we talked a lot about bitters, which is something I recommend to everyone. Well, mints are considered bitter.
Okay.
And so if you bite into that and your taste buds are tasting that, it's sending signals to your brain that are your whole body is responding, essentially. And yeah, it tastes good. It freshens your breath. It's good for your stomach and digestion. I mean, you can't really go wrong.
Love it.
And I think like with the pine and cedar and just little stuff when you're walking, we don't do that anymore. And I feel like when we nibble those fresh things, our body is probably rejoicing.
Yeah, because I feel good chewing a toothpick. Honestly, a good toothpick. Maybe that's a plant if
It's
it's a
probably
tree.
got plant extra.
Yeah, it got cinnamon.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. All right. Well, Torri, please tell these people, first of all, the name of the place, where it's at, and what you offer here.
Okay. So we are Cedar Hill Homestead online, and that's mostly what we go by. Our website is cedarhillhomesteadtn.com. Our email is Cedar Hill Homestead. If you are local, our store is Cedar Hill Apothecary. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, all those places, Cedar Hill Homestead. Pretty much
A lot of good
across the
information
board.
on the TikTok.
Yeah, if you're in the Southeast and you want to learn how to identify plants or just kind of know what's growing outside, definitely check out our TikTok.
And you do plant walks?
Yep. We've got one coming up. We've got a couple coming up. We have a free one Sunday the 24th in Kingston Springs. We've got one October 9th. I try to do them pretty regularly. And you can book a plant walk through our website if you want me to come to your property and kind of see what you've got growing, or a park near you.
And how do people go about consultations with you? Do they come in? Do they call you? What's going on?
If you come in, it's pretty easy. We can whip something up right here.
Perfect.
I'm not offering them online at the moment, but when I do, it's found in the same spot as the plant walks, just under education on our website.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I am
you.
Joshua Black. Connor, like I said, he's having sex therapy at the moment, so he couldn't be here. Until next time, make sure you follow me at Sir Joshua Black, at Connor Larson Comedy, and at Country. Fuck, I almost got it. At Sir Joshua Black, at Connor Larson Comedy, and at Comedy Country Podcast. I couldn't remember the name of the damn pod. All right, thank y'all so much. Peace.